Hi, friends. This is Lisa from Trails Edge Astrology. And today I want to talk about working with the moon as we're trying to make some lifestyle changes. Um, this can be a really powerful practice to help us align with the Earth's natural cycles and with our own internal cycles. Um, we all know that the moon controls the tides, and we know that we are 70% water. So the moon is also pulling on us in really profound ways. And so I think this is just a really interesting and important technique that can help. All right. So the moon in our chart describes um, describes our bodies and our emotions and how we nourish ourselves, how we care for ourselves. If we're stressed, the moon in our chart really shows us how to cope with that stress, what techniques will be most effective for us. And in the sky at any time, the moon is flowing from between new to full, full to new. We know this. The moon just keeps changing constantly. And so we don't necessarily need to know where the moon is in our birth chart to really work with it effectively as we're trying to make lifestyle changes. So the lunar flow prescribes a roadmap for how to make those changes and when to integrate what pieces to do that most effectively. I'm going to start by talking about the new moon, but you don't have to start there. This is a continuous cycle. So you start wherever the moon is and with whatever that energy is bringing in. Um, I like to think of this sort of as our breath, compare the lunar cycle to our breath, or working with the lunar cycle to make lifestyle changes to our breath. So, we start, well, it's a never ending process, but if you think about starting when you're empty, when there's no air in your lungs, and you fill to the capacity, and then you release, right? So that empty is the new moon, and you fill and fill and fill and fill until your lungs are full, and that's the full moon, and then you release, and that's the full moon moving back to the new moon. So it's that cycle. Like you can't keep filling a full cup, I guess is the reason I bring this up. So when we're making lifestyle changes, it's really important to recognize that we can't push continually, that there are natural ebbs and flows to our changes and to what we're asking ourselves to lean into. All right, so let's get started. The new moon. So the new moon seeds new beginnings. It is a moment where we are empty, and is a time when I really recommend being receptive. So it's not a time to push, but rather a time to listen to what's coming up in our bodies and what's coming up for us that might be ripe to change. Um, you might have come into the new moon with some ideas about what you want to change, but the time around the new moon, those couple days around the new moon, is really an invitation to listen and not to push. So we don't, while the new moon is a seeding moment, we don't start things on the new moon. We listen on the new moon. And then about 2 to 6 days after the new moon is is what's called the waxing crescent. And this is a time when we set our intentions. So we've listened, we spent the first couple days listening, and this is the time where we set our intentions. And I actually recommend writing these down. So you might journal, you might meditate, you might go for a walk, whatever it is you do to kind of calm and quiet your mind and decide what it is you want to work on. So day 2 to day 6, I typically do it earlier. Um, but I do write it down. Whatever that intention is, whatever you want to bring in for that new moon cycle, this is the time to do that. Um, and again, it's not a time to push too hard. There's not a lot of light in the sky, but it's a time to start to lean into that. And as I say, I write it down and I put it somewhere where I see it regularly throughout the month. It could be one intention, it could be three intentions. I wouldn't go much higher than three. The lunar cycle is only 28 days, so so you only have so much time to work. You don't want to bite off too much. Between days 7 and 12, we reach what's called the first quarter moon, and this is really where we want to incorporate those new habits. So let's say we have decided during this lunar cycle that that we're feeling like we can incorporate more fruits and vegetables in our diet, for example. Um, so with the new moon, we feel into that. We're like, okay, I think I'm ready to change this part of me. I'm ready to try to get to 5 fruits and vegetables a day, ready to incorporate that. Um, Days 2 through 6, we set those intentions and we start to feel into what that looks like. Days 7 to 12, this is a time to really codify that new habit, to think about, okay, so if I do that, if I'm trying to get to 5 fruits and vegetables a day, that means I need um, something at one at breakfast, two at lunch, two at dinner, for example, or fruit or vegetable at every meal, and then two snacks, something like that. It's a time to start thinking about how you do that and stepping into those practices. It's also a time to look at, if you decide I'm going to have um, 2 fruits and vegetables with every meal or something. If you decide that, and then you're like, this isn't really working. I'm really hungry between meals, and I'd rather do it as a snack. Um, Or I would rather, load up and do a smoothie in the morning and maybe not have to worry about it the rest of the day, whatever that looks like for you. This is the time to explore some of those habits and make some of those adjustments. And then day 13 through 15, we hit the full moon. This is the culmination. This is our lungs are full. We have filled, we have built, we have added, and it's a time to shine your light. So these days, particularly day 14, day 14 is the actual culmination of the full moon. Um, this is a time to like share your changes with the world, to really shine your light, to like live into those that movement and see how it feels. Maybe talk to your friends, maybe recruit your friends. Any of those things. The full moon is that culmination period where you have built this new habit, started to build this new habit, and added and added and added, and you're full. And see how that feels. See what you can shine, what light you can shine, and how you might want to share that with the world. And it's at the full moon that we start to move into the next part of the cycle. So in the first half of the cycle, we've added habits, we've brought things into our lives. We said yes and we get to the full moon, we share that, and then we start disseminating. So the moon starts getting smaller. And this is the point where we continue to share those habits, but we shift our focus from adding new habits. We've added all those new habits at the beginning of the cycle. We don't add new habits. This is the point in the cycle where we start to think about what's ready to go. So maybe you finish the bag of potato chips and you don't buy another bag of potato chips because that feels right for you. Obviously, you do what feels right for you. You do what feels good for you. But maybe it's something like that. What's ready to go? Or maybe you have a habit of just having a piece of toast for breakfast, and you think, okay, I think I'm ready to move over and let's try some scrambled eggs with spinach, and I'm ready to let go of that piece of toast. Not There's nothing wrong with a piece of toast, but whatever it is that you might be ready to let go of, this is the time to start easing into that day 16 through day 20. Day 21 through 26 is what's called the third quarter of the moon. And this is again the time to release those habits and those patterns and that programming that don't serve the new intention. The new intention is to add more fruits and vegetables to our diets. At this point in the cycle, we're thinking about patterns and habits that don't support that intention and what kinds of things we feel comfortable letting go of. And I do want to reiterate, um, have a dialogue with yourself. This isn't command and control. This isn't a forceful kind of activity. This is an invitation. See what your body is open to and what you're open to doing, in a really receptive way. But in this phase, in this day 21 to 26 phase, um, kind of define what's actually essential. What do I really need in this process, and what can I maybe let go of? And then the final part of the lunar cycle is called the balsamic moon, and this is the last couple days of the cycle, right before the moon goes to new. And this is again a very quiet and receptive point of the moon. There's not a lot of light in the sky, and there's not a lot of energy to push. This is not a yang time, this is a yin time. So, those days between day 27 and maybe day 2 of the new cycle, um, I just recommend sitting in quiet. Continue the habits you've added in at the beginning of the cycle, and continue to to leave out the habits that you've decided to eliminate in the second half of the cycle. But take some time, not to push, but to listen to how that feels in your body, and see if these are good changes, or what really was really working for you. Uh, this is a time when you can also really work on clearing out mental and physical clutter. You want to think about, what do I want to take into the next cycle? The new moon is coming. We're going to start the cycle again. What do I want to take in, and what do I want to leave behind? And so the balsamic moon is really a beautiful time to do that in a very quiet and receptive way. It's not a way to, it's not a time to push. There's just not a lot of energy in the sky for pushing. But there is a lot of energy for receiving and for listening and for being quiet. And then we get to the new moon again. So this is an upward spiral process. So each cycle builds on the next, and you've been doing this all your life. You may not realize it, or may not be doing it absolutely consciously, but your body knows that this is the pattern. Our minds get in the way sometimes, so your body knows that this is the pattern, and so it's an upward cycle. So we decided to get to 5 fruits and vegetables in the last lunar cycle. So where do we go from there? Maybe we still need to build some of those habits to get there, or maybe we're ready to add another layer on. Maybe we're ready to go to 6 fruits and vegetables, or maybe we're ready to increase our exercise, or there may be some other piece to add on to that. So it's a process and a cycle, and you build on yourself. And some lunar cycles um, can be more effective than others. And it really, again, it's that new seeding time. It's a time to take stock. What's worked, what hasn't, what do I want to adjust, and how do I start again? So let me summarize really quickly this process and how you might think of it. So the new moon, what's being conceived? Very receptive. What am I thinking about? What feels ripe for me to step into in terms of the lifestyle changes I'm trying to make? What pieces of that feel ready? And then around day 2, day 3, commit that to paper. Commit it to some place where you see it every day, and remind yourself what it is over the next 28 days you're trying to add in or build. Um, On day 3 through 12, we're looking at what is emerging. We're looking at bringing in those new habits. We're looking at incorporating things that help us reach that intention, and really building, adding in things. Um, then at day 13 to 15, what needs to be illuminated? What do you need to shine a light on? Like, this is your culmination point. This is your lungs are full. Your breath is, you've inhaled all you can for this cycle, all the changes you can, all the new habits you can. You're sitting with that and shining it and being proud of yourself, and sharing potentially. So what needs to be illuminated? That's day 13 through 15. And then we start the release cycle. So to live into this intention, day 16 to day 26, what needs to end? What do we need to stop doing in order to live into this intention? So, yeah, what needs to go? What might not be serving the end goal? Those are the days to really think about that and make some active progress towards incorporating those in a gentle, loving way. And then finally, day 27, 28. What is essential to move forward? What comes with you and what stays behind? And again, this is the receptive time. That the end of the cycle, the beginning of the cycle are very, very receptive. We're not used to that in society. We want to push, push, push. Um, but I invite you to just give yourself some time around the end of the lunar cycle and the beginning of the new lunar cycle to listen and not necessarily try and do anything that that's overly prescriptive. Listen to yourself during that time. All right, that's what I have for you today. I hope this is helpful. Again, I'm Lisa Merrifield from Trails Edge Astrology, and I would appreciate it if you would like and subscribe, share if this is helpful to you. Thanks so much.